We're on page 3. Let's first go ahead and trim off the top of this page. On the back it looks like this. Let's measure over 6 inches and cut. We're going to do a different cut on this page. So the first thing we're going to do is, why don't we just go ahead and set this off to the side for page 4. I'm going to put that out of my way. Okay, we're not going to measure over 8 inches on this one because we are going to use the flip inserts, the pocket and flip fold inserts F to attach to this. So let's measure over 8 1/4 inches and cut. Let's just stick this off in reserves for now. This will be our base page. Let's set this off to the side here. Let's get into our Heartfelt Creations, the Pocket Flip Fold Inserts F. Inside of it, what you are going to find is the larger of the fold outs and pocket inserts. And you should have 4 of these larger ones. You can stick these with your base page for now. We'll get to that. Also inside you are going to find the smaller one that looks like the larger one. And then you're going to find the smaller little tag photo mats. Let's just put those right back inside. Stick this back in here for now and put this with page 4. You will need your craft knife for this. First, let's go ahead. You will notice that there are 2 score lines on to the side. So let's go ahead and fold on those score lines just to get this ready to go. And you may need your bone folder for this to help keep your things straight. And also here you will have a couple of them. Okay. Now we have this. So what I've got going in here, I'm looking at this. This is going to go backwards. This flap is going to go backwards as well. And there are 2 score lines. So these are going towards the back. This one is coming over. Okay, the first piece that we are going to cover is this one. In your paper pack, you will find this sheet. On the back, it is the lavender colored one. We're going to trim off this top piece, and then we're going to measure over 6 inches and cut. Alrighty, let's go ahead and put this one back in our reserves. Let's measure over 8 inches and cut. What you're going to see is, if you were to place this down, you have an inner score mark on each side. What we're going to do is lay glue on the back of this, and we are going to center that in between the inner score mark here and the inner score mark here, so it does not get near it. So when this does fold, and I'm going to pull this one back so you can actually see, you're going to have this centered so you have a black top, black bottom frame in the sides. So I'm going to apply glue to the back of this. And when you're placing your glue, you're going to want to make sure that you get it right near those slit marks. I'm just going to go around it there too. Make sure that I get that really good. And then I'm just going to put it on here. And now I'm going to center this down. Make sure that's down really good over those slits. Now we're going to want to wait until the glue completely dries, and we're going to flip this over so we can still see those slits. And that's where we want a cutting mat and our craft knife. And I'm going to turn mine like this where I can see those slits. All we are going to do is, and it might help if you have a ruler of sorts to help keep you straight, we're just going to take our craft knife and we are going to cut through. And we want to make sure we get through the other side, like so. So let's go ahead and do that with the other two. Once you've gotten through there, let's grab the large, oh, my cat's getting crazy. Let's grab these large picture mat or tags. Make sure that they can slip in, that you got your craft knife to cut across so that they can go on in there. And mine do. Okay, let's flip this over. And let's find our paper for this. We're going to get a few things together. In your reserves, you will have this little cutting. On the back, it's lavender. We want that. In your reserves, you will also find this sheet. On the back, it's blue. Let's go ahead and stick this on our paper cutter and divide the two panels. This one goes back in reserves, and then let's set this one with the little lavender piece there. Grab a piece of cardstock and let's cut it to 6 1/8 inch by 8 1/8 inch. Okay, this piece here we're going to glue down, but we're only going to glue around the edges, steering clear of these slits. And you'll want to place this over as far as you can, leaving yourself a little black here and just a little black here. And of course centering top to bottom. So I'm going to show you mine, and you're just going to get along the edges here. You are going to leave the top part open. No glue up here, so just the 3 sides. Like so. Okay, and I'm going to place this down. Making sure you're not on your hinge marks. And then just rubbing your fingers to make sure that that gets down. Now before we go any farther, let's flip this over, grab one of your pieces, and you should be able to slide that in there. If you find that you've got too much glue, you may have to trim these down a little to fit when we're all ready to work with these. And mine looks just fine. It's fitting. Okay, let's flip this back over. This piece here, we're just going to apply glue, and we are going to set that right on top of that black cardstock that we did. So let's get our glue and glue this down. Okay, so you should still have an opening up here because we didn't put the glue down up there. Double check to make sure that you're going to fit with this too, and you should, in case you want to use that for your other one. Okay, let's set this off to the side for just a moment. Cut a piece of cardstock that is 6 1/8 inch by 4 1/2 inch. Let's grab our 1/2 inch Martha Stewart. I'm using crochet loop, and we're just going to punch along the long side. Okay, we're going to next grab our piece we had off to the side. We're going to apply glue to the back so that the lavender shows outward, purple. And we're going to mount this right on our panel here for our pocket. Now this pocket will not have wrap around, So the pocket is going to be slightly larger than the purple, so you'll just want to leave a little bit of black trim on either side. Let's grab our score tape, and we're just going to put that down the 3 sides, 2 sides and 1 bottom. And I'm just going to dab a little glue right over here. You don't need a whole lot. Okay, let's remove our score tape. And make sure you steer clear of the score mark on your little flap here. And we're just going to place this down. Now, next thing you're going to do is see the little flap, and we're going to bring that up. So I'm just going to apply some glue here, and it's only going to be on the sides. Now for this, you may want to grab your binder clips, and I am using this this a little bit differently than probably how it was designed, but I want another pocket down here. So I'm just going to clip those for a moment. In your reserves, you will find this sheet on the back. It looks like this. We're going to measure over 3/4 of an inch and cut. When your little thing down here is done, we're just going to place this right on down, and I need to put mine back down to glue. We're just going to place this right on down across the bottom, make a mark with our pencil, and then we are going to trim this. Next thing we're going to do is glue this right on down. So let's do that. Now you have a small pocket here, and it should be staying because it's wrapped over. Okay, let's go ahead and work on this. In your reserves, you will find this sheet on the back. It's a bright yellow. Let's first trim off this top part. What we're going to want to do is measure over 6 inches, which is in between these 2 panels here, and we are going to cut all the way down. This piece goes back in reserves. Let's measure over 8 1/8 of an inch and cut. Let's put this back in our reserves. We're going to center this and glue it down. In your reserves, you will find this little purple tag on the back. It looks like this. All we're going to do is mount this to black cardstock to give it a black frame around it, make it really pop out. So I'm looking in my scratch pieces of black cardstock, and I'm just going to bring that right on down on top of it. As you can see, when I did place it, I placed it to where I had a little black showing here, and I'm going to have a little black showing here. And now I'm just going to trim this. So this is what I have, and all I'm going to do is place glue on the bottom and 2 sides, and I'm going to place that down so I can use that as a little pocket if I wanted to. If not, you just use it as for writing about the picture that's up here. Okay, we're now on to this page. In your reserves, you will find this sheet on the back. It looks like that. Let's go ahead and trim right on down here to get this panel out. And of course, we're going to cut across to divide these 2. Okay, this one goes back in reserves. This piece here, we're going to measure over 6 inches, which is exactly in the middle, and cut. Make sure both of your pieces are the same size. Make sure you got the cuts right. If you're a little bit off, like I have just, oh my gosh, just a hair off here, I'm just going to trim that up. Okay, this is a very simple page. We're just going to add glue to the back, this. Now when I'm placing this, I'm placing it so this is down here, the bottom, and I'm going to center this as best I can, making sure it's even. Okay, I'm going to add glue to this one. And I'm going to overlap on that bottom one. And again, this is going to be here, and I'm going to overlap over the cut off roses. So I'm just going to place it like this. Okay, now all we have to do is add glue to the back of this. And we're going to place this over and up. Making sure my sides are even with that trim. In your reserves, you should have this piece here. On the back it's yellow. We're just going to cut between these two panels here and right down. Let's mount that to black cardstock, leaving yourself a little bit of a black border around. We're going to apply some glue here and just mount that. And I think I want to bring it over here. Okay, let's attach this. So how I have this is like this. I'm just going to fold that over the wrong side. My flap is off to the right. Make sure it's upright. So you should be looking at it like this. All we're going to do is slide this over our one piece, as you can see, making sure we are straight, and I'm holding it so it doesn't get away from me. And if I think I need to move it to center it up. Now remember, this sheet is going to be probably a hair smaller than the black insert. That's okay. It's not going to hurt a darn thing because we're against black cardstock in the book. So I think I've got mine pretty straight there. And I'm going to hold it. And I'm going to use my glue gun for quick tacking here to get that down. Okay, I have mine attached. So there's a few ways that you can have this, is just like this, and then you flip out this way, and then it folds out this way. So it's completely up to you, or you can have it like this, and this is where our little slots are, if you remember. So we're gonna work on these. Okay, I have laid these out, and there are two that are similar, and they all look similar, but if you notice, two of them are going to match up exactly up here, and these two are that, and then these two are a slightly different shape up here, and they're going to match up. So I'm just going to slip these off to the side here. In your paper pack, you will have this sheet. On the back, it looks like this. Let's go ahead and trim this off. Then we're going to cut to divide all these 6x6 squares up. So let's do that. This next step, if you do not have the Regal Borders and Pockets die, that the dies actually fit across the top on some of these, then what you are going to do is on these, for example, if you're not a die cutter, is you're going to lay this piece down, And on a couple of these, they are larger than the 6 inches wide, but you're just going to place it down, and you will have a little bit of overhang. Make sure your overhang is the same on each side, and you will use your pencil to trace around, like so. Once you have it traced, and you'll want to keep your pieces together so you know which ones go, you're going to go ahead and cut this out. Now, if you do have the Regal borders and die, make sure that the one you're working on is the one that matches. Like this is one of the wider ones, and at the top, this is the one that matches the humps up here, like so. You're going to want to center this at the top, and you will also need the bracket that goes with it that matches up, like so. You may want to use some tape so that it doesn't slide, and you're going to run that through the die cutter. So let's do that, die cutters. And for those of you with the or that are not die cutting, once you got it cut out, you will place it up and you will drag it down just enough to where you can still see some of that black around there. Okay, you are going to want to have some of your black border showing over here. I think it looks nice. If you don't care, that's fine, but we're going to just drag that down just a little bit, and then I can also see where I need to trim up with my scissors a little more to give me that black edge. Over here is where I'm just going to make another pencil mark just to shave a little bit off so I do get that black border. And I'll show you mine in just a moment. So those of you without the die cutters, you should look something like this. Go ahead and apply glue to the back and glue it down, making sure you leave your black border around. Now I ran mine through the die cutter after I clipped it up. I want to keep mine consecutive. So if you're die cutting, you're going to do this to the top of each one that goes. So I'm going to apply glue. And I think I instructed the die cutters to use this one for that. So I'm going to grab my other one that's similar. It doesn't matter. But we're going to do this same process, whoops, for all of it. So now I'm just going to glue this on down. So this one is not perfect because I did originally start hand cutting and stuff. So, but that's okay. Okay, I have all mine in here. I put mine in here. I left this alone so I can put a little tag in there. This one, I'm just going to stick right on inside in that pocket there. All right, let's go ahead and I'm going to do mine like this. I think that looks really cool. Okay. This main base sheet, what we're going to do is just flip that right on over so you know it's the right one. Let's grab our score tape, and we're going to do the same thing we've done before. It's just going around like a picture frame. One down the middle and two shorter ones on either side, and we're going to mount this in our book, and we'll mount this one together. I've got the score tape on the back of mine here, and I'm just going to fold this up. It'll probably be a little bit easier for now for me to handle. And before I pull the score tape off, I'm going to show you how I'm going to place mine. Okay, I am going to place mine mostly over to the left, leaving a little bit of a black border. Maybe, I'd say maybe an 1/8, 1/16 or an 1/8 of black border showing on the left hand side. And the reason why is because my hinge is over here, and I want to make sure that when I do open and close, there's a little bit of a gap between the spines, the page hinge there. So I'm going to remove my score tape, and I'll show you with mine on placing it. All right, got my page. And I'm just going to open it up like this to hold it. And I'm going to look top to bottom. Try to get it even. And then I'm just going to place it down like that. So you have an option. You can go like this. You can go like this. Whichever way you want. So if you are going to have yours all folded up like this, let's put a flower here. If you are going the other way, let's also get some flowers ready. Now, since we mounted it on our left-hand side, and we have our pocket up above, if you notice, and if you put it down, like so, when you're opening and closing your album, you're just going to have that black. So when we're done with this complete tutorial, we're going to go back and we will put a panel on the other side. Unless you want to just go like this, slide it in there like so, but then you still have the black showing like that, because that's what we want to be able to see. But at the end of the tutorial, we are going to go back to fill this one of them on the back side. So until then, let's just slide that in there and get some flowers ready. Okay, I've prepared a couple flowers here, and I will bring them up so you can see. This one was stamped with the heliotrope. Then I used a little bit of heliotrope was on the inside of the petal. And then I used the thistle lightly, and then I daubed on some lilac. And there are two of the medium-sized flower petals layered, and then one of the smallest ones. This one is just 2 layers, and that's all you're going to want. It should be a flatter style. This one was stamped with plum. Thistle was gone around, and then lightly, I just put real lightly daubed on a little bit of heliotrope. And Wink Stella is on this, as well as this, and then I did put the diamond stickles on this. This is just one of our leaves that's done the same way. Now, to get this is a rose on the vine, and I wanted to show you how to achieve that. I did use the Dove Blender kit here, and I'm going to show you how to, if you don't know how to use this and how to get your flowers colored in, I can show you that. So the first thing I did was I stamped my image with the darkest green. I'm using Olive Grove, but if you're using the more vibrant colors, it would be the Evergreen. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to ink around the edges of my leaves, and I'm just going to daub a little bit of this darker green around the edges here, and then lightly inside slightly, just like that. So I'm going to do that to start, and then I'll show you the next step. So that was my first step with the darker green. Next step, I'm grabbing the medium colored green. I'm using pistachio. If you're using the more vibrant colors, you would use moss green. And because Color Box is a more mushier type of pad, you may have to dab off a little bit there. Alright, so the next step, all I'm going to do is come around and lightly brush on these leaves and the side. Next, I'm going to take the lightest color, and I'm using Pear Tart. Citrine would be the lightest one if you are using the more vibrant greens that I showed you in the beginning. Okay, so Pear Tart, all I'm going to do here is blot it on there. Now I'm going to put this down because it's much easier than getting it on my fingers. we can put the green away. And I'll bring this up closer so that you can see. Okay, the next step, your dub blender. And I have some purples on mine. I'm just gonna get as most off. And if you have a tip that is just destroyed, put a new tip in. The starter kit has several tips in there. Okay, I am going to use plum. And I'm just going to dip the tip in, dot off. All I've done here is come in and kind of outline a little bit. Where the outline of the flowers. Now you don't have to be perfect. Okay, got quite a bit dark down there. Okay, then I just lightly brushed like that. And I'll bring it up. That's how I started. Now don't judge yours until you are completely done. Okay, so I'm going to get on my next flower and I'm going to do the same thing and just kind of outline a little bit. Kind of going a little bit darker down here. Now I'm going to kind of daub off a little bit and I'm just going to do that. Okay, and I'm going to do this flower. Okay, the next color is thistle. Make sure you kind of wipe off a lot of the plum. Thistle is very light. We're just going to dab and go right on over that flower. This is what you should have. Let's grab some lilac. Okay, so I'm going to dab in there and I am going to kind of dot around a little on my paper. And you're just going to swoop up. I'm going to dab a couple dots and I'm going to come at the bottom and just swoop up. If you want to add more, you can, more color, just daub in there. Okay, this is what I have. And I didn't go real dark in places. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Wink of Stella and I'm going to brush over this whole thing. The next thing I'm going to do is take my diamond stickles and I'm just going to kind of do an outline a little bit lightly with this. Around the edges and through here. Like so. And I'm going to do this with all of them. And you don't need a whole lot. And then for the leaves, I just kind of went back and forth. Got some up in here. And it's done. And you'll let that dry. And I'll bring it up so you can take a look. Move it over a little so you can actually see against a white background there. And that's all there is to it. And we're going to let this all dry. Okay, let's grab our book. Now I've got two vines to place. I've got my flowers and then I have the small leaf. So depending on how you want your page 3 to open, this is what I suggest you do. If you're going to have this page up so that when you flip you have this and this, then you'll put this flower on this page. Now if you want to do it like this, to where you have this page up, and I did put a piece of cardstock in here so you can see where the lip of my bottom pocket is. Then you'll use your vine and your larger flower here. So how I'm going to do mine is just fold it back. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to apply glue to the back of this, and I'm going to glue it down. And then I'm going to glue this down. If you are not going to have it this way, okay, if you're going to have your book to where it's going to be like this when you're flipping your pages, then you will put the vine with the larger flower right down here, like this. I hope that makes sense, because you want to have your bulkier flower on the outside rather than tucked inside. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this flower down right like this. Okay, I've got mine down. Now I am going to place my other flat vine right here. So if you're doing it the same way I am, then you'll open your book and just put your other vine right here. If you made this for your main page with your bulkier flower, what you will do is just lay your vine right here on this page. Hope that makes sense. So I'm going to get this glued down. Okay. For this one is just going to place right like this. So I'm just going to put some glue down here. Making sure I don't get glue on the back of this one. And then this flower, the smaller, flatter two-petal one, just goes right here. And if you're like this with your bulkier flower will be right there. Okay, we are done with page 3. Let's move on to page 4. Page 4. Okay, we set this off to the side. Let's measure over 8 1/4 inches and cut. Okay, there's our base page. I also had you put aside this one. And this, the scraps off this, we're just going to stick over here as well. Now let's get the rest of our inserts from the F that we've already gotten into. It's the smaller one. Let's set these little tag mats off to the side. Now this is going to be done a little bit differently. So let's go ahead and fold on our score lines to start to get this where it needs to be. And this needs to go back. Okay. All right, so this actually is going to be fold to the back. So how we're looking at is we have our flap off to the right, we have our bottom flap here, and we're going to have this eventually, after we get our paper of course, come back behind, and this is going to hook on. So this is not going to be like our page 3, this is going to be done a little bit differently. So let's get our paper for the little pockets. Okay, we had this off to the side. Measure over 8 inches and cut. Just stick this off to the side. Measure over 4 3/8 of an inch and cut. Okay, you can put this in your reserves for right now. Don't need a bunch of paper there. Okay, take a look at your thing here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold my flap completely back behind for right now, and the other one back behind. And I'm going to put this there so I can make sure that I'm going to fit. And if you place this down, you will have black top, bottom, and on the side. So this is a good fit. So what we're going to do is apply glue to the back of this. I'm going to open mine back up here. And also remember, we need to make sure we get around these slit marks. Just going around it there. When we glue this down. So let's apply glue and mount this. Okay, I have mine down. I'm just going to flip this over, and this is where I am going to cut through those slits on each one. So let's do that. Okay, I have mine cut, but this is where I need to make sure that I can fit in there. If you cannot, then you need to widen your slits just a little bit. So I'm good there. This one I might widen just a little bit. And then this one I need to widen as well. So if you need to do yours, then do so. Okay, I verified mine are now wide enough to get in my tags, large tags. All you have to do now is apply glue to one side and bring it over. Down here, you're just going to apply your glue on that flap and bring it over on top. So what you have now is this, and you should be able to get your tags in and out. There's one, there's two, and so on. So all we have here is a fold out, and I did not put enough glue on here. And at the top, you will still be able to slide something in there, just like so. Okay, let's find our paper for this. In your reserves, you should have this piece on the back. It's yellow. We're actually to measure over 8 1/8 of an inch and cut. Go ahead and stick this in our reserves for now. Measure over 4 1/4 inches and cut. You can go ahead and stick this in reserves. Let's verify it's going to fit nicely, giving us a nice black border around, and mine does. Let's prepare a pocket right here. Cut a piece of cardstock that is 3 1/4 inches by 6 inches. If you are using the Martha Stewart punches, this is where we are going to do a little decorating, some cuts. Now, this is one option because you're just going to punch across the top, and then I'll show you how to achieve that. It's not hard. This is what it will look like if you're using the arch circles, which is really pretty. And then this is the trellis chain. So you have a option on that. And all you're going to do is after you punch across is you are going to find the center where you still have flaps to go around the back. And then you can use your pencil first to mark where you need to start cutting around those circles to give you that. And that's just an option. I thought that that was kind of cool rather than just the straight across. And it's the same thing on this. You just make a mark where you want to be and then you cut down. And it gives that effect. This one I really like a lot. This one looks nice too. It will both go in. But I like the softer curves of the arch circles on that. Okay, die cutters. Let's get into our ornate borders and pockets die. Okay, I am going to use this scallop border and this one. So these are the two pieces. What you're going to want to do is make sure when you place this that you are even from side to side, and especially even from here to the top of your page. And of course we want to place our other piece down. And we're going to run this through the die cutter. This is what you should have, and all you're going to do is cut in from this side and from this side over to release this. I like to place mine on my paper cutter so I can get it straight, so one side isn't higher than the other. And I'll show you what mine looks like. And this is what you have. So what we're going to do is grab our score tape, everyone. We're going to place it at the bottom of our panel here, making sure that your score tape is down really good. And what I like to do is, after I've lined this up where it needs to go down, I like to start from the middle and move out. And now all I'm going to do is fold back my flaps around the back, and I like to use my hot glue gun for quick tacking, so that's all I'm going to do. In your reserve, you should have a couple of these. Flip them over. One has yellow and one has the purple. The purple is the one that we want. So let's stick that back in there. All we're going to do here is place this down on top of our piece, like so, so that it's even over here. And we're going to first make our cut this way, and then of course we need to trim it up to fit. If you're using the Martha Stewart punch, yours is, whoops, this one's a little bit longer, I think. Maybe not. Yours may come up a little short, okay? If you come up short, meaning there's not enough to cover your piece, I will show you a piece that you will use to fill in the missing part. Those of you that die cut, let's go ahead and glue this down. Martha Stewart, Martha Stewart punchers, you will glue yours down too. And if you have a gap of black, like I said, I'm going to show you what you will put across, but you will mount yours at the bottom, leaving the gap up here. Okay, we're going to have a trim piece, all of this, so what I pull is what you will use, those of you that use the Martha Stewart, to cover that gap. I put my piece down next to it. The ones that are using the punches, you should have a good size gap in yours like this. In your reserves, everyone, you will find this trim piece on the back. It looks like this. For the Martha Stewart punchers, this is just going to lay right on top. So if you had this down here, you're just going to place this and glue that right on down. But you will need to trim it, of course, to fit. Now, those of us that die cut, we're first going to trim it to fit this piece, and we will cut it. Now, in our ornate borders and die set, we will find this piece. So all we're going to do is place that down at the top, making sure we're kind of even there. And we're going to run this through our die cutter. So this is what you should have. And all we're going to do is come in from the side there. Snip it to release the top piece. And we're going to glue that down. So let's do that. Okay, it is time to glue this down, but we need to double check that we are going the right way so we don't do it upside down. So if you were looking at this, your flap should be off to the right. You should have, oh, I got glue all over my fingers. You should have your opening at the top and the wrap should be at the bottom. So looking at it like this, just turn it right over. Your flaps are off to the left now. The bottom flap is showing at the bottom. We're going to apply glue to this and we are going to center this now. So let's do that. Okay, it is time to attach this to our base page. All we're going to do is slide that right on over, making sure that we are even. Hold it and flip it over. Now, we will be taller with the black fold out, and that's okay. At this point, what you can do is just kind of even it up to top to bottom, but it won't matter because the black blends in with the base page. So I'm just going to add some glue here to tack this down really quick. And this is what you should have when you open it up. It'll look real nice. Okay, it's time to work on these. Grab your two pieces that you've had in setting off to the side. If you put them down, you will notice that the yellow one is shorter than the purple one. Let's go ahead and trim that purple one to be exactly the same width as this. Now you will notice that if you place this down, it is a perfect fit. Side to side, you still have your black border around there. Now we do need for our top, and we also need another piece for this one. So let's find our piece. Now in your reserves, you will find this piece. Place it down. It should be identical already to these pieces. So no cutting is necessary from side to side. And they all should be the same height. So if you notice, if you place these down though, we will be needing to trim down the height a little bit on each of these. Now there is one that actually has a rounded edge that actually sticks out. If you look at the other ones, they don't stick out. And I'll show you the difference. See, this sticks out, peeks out the side from the curve, and this one doesn't. It's straight on up and then it cuts in, and same with this. So I have put one of my yellow ones with the one that has the curve that goes out over the sides there. In your reserves, you will find this. On the back, it looks like this. And you see where these two panels separate from each other? Let's go ahead and cut right on down. You can put this back in reserves for now. Now, grab the one that has the lip off to the side. This should be perfect for placement across. Okay, you may see a little black peeking out, but that's fine because we want our black border. Now, for those of you that are using, that are not using the dies, you will place this all the way at the top. Actually, let's turn that right on around. Which way does it go? This way. Place it right at the top there, making sure you are even from side to side. And you will trace. Okay. You'll then make a mark with your pencil right here on the sides so you know where your stopping point is. If it's easier, you can just make your marks on the stopping point and cut it. Okay, those of us that have the dies, you'll need to grab these two pieces. This is the top, and it doesn't have the scallops at the top, but it's the one that fits this one, and that's the one we just used. We are going to do the same thing, except we're just going to place our die down like that, all the way at the top, and we're going to run that through our die cutter. So let's do that. Okay, so what you guys are going to do is just snip in to release that top part. And if you're not using the die, of course, you are going to cut out and around. Now, stick your piece right up here, and it should give you a nice black border. Now, you do have that lip down at the bottom, so once you have yours down where you look nice like this, flip it over and make a mark where that indent is. Now let's go ahead and trim. I've got mine trimmed. So this is what we're all going to do is once you have yours down and you have your black borders on either side there, we are going to pull this down. Just pull this down, flip it over, and we're going to tack down this flap here. Okay? For those of you that hand cut yours, you will do the same thing here. You can go ahead and place yours down and glue it down. Okay. Die cutters will do the same. I've got to trim mine up still. And then we will glue ours down. I hope that made sense. So let's go ahead and glue our stuff down. Mine's all glued down. This is what yours should look like too. Very pretty. Let's set that off to the side. You should have a leftover piece here. And what you will want to do, those of you that don't have dies, is you're just going to center this, but I am going to turn mine so I have a little more green showing here. And you will trace around and cut it out. And then what you'll do is once you got that, you can just trim a little bit more around so that you have your black border. Those of you that are using the die plates, now this one is the next one I'm going to use. Make sure it's the one that fits the one you are working on, and I am working on the purple one, which I matched up to this top. So I'm just going to place this right on down, making sure it's even, and I'm going to run that through my die cutter. So let's do that. Okay, now for this one, I'm just going to come straight up from the bottom, like so, and take a look what I look like there. So once I have that, and I place this down, bend this down, so I'm just going to fold down just a little bit. I'm going to glue that down. And then I'm going to tuck that back behind. So I'm going to apply glue now. And now I'm going to apply glue to the back of this. And there is our second. We are on this one here. Now this is the bracket and the die plate that works with this one. If you notice, by putting it up there, it matches up. So let's find our paper, everyone, that we're going to use for up here. In your reserves, you will find this piece. On the back, it's yellow. Now I am going to turn mine like this. I am going to place my brackets down so I get some of that flowers up in there, the different colors. And I'm going to run that through the die cutter. If you're doing the hand cuts, you'll do exactly the same thing that you've been doing. Okay, I'm just going to snip in from the sides here. Place this right up there where it's looking good. Place this down, and then I'm just going to roll this over. Now, if you need to trim in from the sides because you're not that even, go ahead and do so. I think I need to square up there. Once you know that the way it looks and it looks good. Okay, and I'm going to trim my sides so they don't poke out from either, and then I'm going to glue this down. So yours should be looking similar to that. Let's go ahead and try our pieces there. I'm actually going to put this one on top in there. And you can arrange these any way that you would like, so get my piece in there. There. So that's what you should have, something looking like that. And again, at the end of the tutorial, we'll go and we'll use what's left over to fill in the one that sticks out the top. So down here, I'm going to leave this for a tag. So I'm going to put something in there while I find what I want to place here. Okay, let's go ahead and prepare some leaves. And I do have my Winkostella and Stickles on there. And let's glue that down right there. Let's prepare a 2-layer flower, and I do have the diamond stickles on it, and let's just glue that down right there. Once your stickles and everything are dry, you definitely have to wait until everything is dry there. We're going to flip it over. This page is complete. We're going to flip it over and put score tape like we have been around the outside, one down the middle, 2 shorter ones on either side, and we're going to mount that in our book. Page 5 is this sheet. On the back it looks like this. Let's first go ahead and trim off this top piece. And we are going to be cutting this a little different than how we've been doing. Okay, I'm going to turn my sheet like this. Measure over 8 1/8 of an inch and cut. This is what you should have. Let's just stick this off into our reserves for right now. Measure over 6 inches and cut. This is going to be for our page 6, so I'm not going to put that in reserves. I'm just going to stick that off to the side. We're going to start with this. Now this next step, I am using the Spellbinders Metro Style Gatefold die. If you are not using, if you don't have a die cutter, I will show you what you'll be doing to try and get the similar effect. Everybody, let's go ahead. We need to cut 4 pieces of cardstock that are 5 7/8 of an inch by 4 inches. Once you've got that done, stick 2 off to the side. this is where die cutters, I'm going to get you going, and then for those of you without a die cutter, I'm going to help you along. Let's get our die plates out, and there's 2 in there. Now the first thing I want you to do is turn it over where you can feel the blades. If you notice on one side, the blade isn't real sharp. That's where it's going to score on our paper. This side, you will feel it. That's going to have a higher raised blade. Not a blade, but the metal piece, which does cut. So I'm going to show you exactly how to place this with the cutting side, which is the more prominent raised side. You're going to put that on this side so that the side that's going to score is going to be over here. You're going to bring that over like so, and you can center it from top to bottom and leave a little bit of a black, just a hair, maybe a 1/16. And then you can run this through the die cutter. Okay, this one we're going to do the same way. The blade part is towards the edge, and what we're going to try and do is keep straight. So if when you centered this, if you left so much, maybe 1/8 of a gap here, then you'll do that on the one side too, in case you didn't get it centered. So you'll want to make sure your at least the top or the bottom matches up with how far you spaced out on yours. So let's go ahead and run this through the die cutter. For those of you without a die cutter, you will need your craft knife and your craft cutting mat. For non-die cutters, so if you don't have a die cutting machine or this, I'm going to show you how to achieve something similar. You'll also need your pencil and ruler for this. Okay, on your pieces, let's just lay them both out here. From one edge, you are going to make a pencil mark at 3/16 of an inch. So, and then 3/16 in from the edge there. Okay. You, and then once you do that, you might want to do you'll use pencil for this for sure, because you'll want to erase any of your marks. And then you're going to draw a line. Try to keep it straight. Okay. From the bottom now, you're going to measure up 3/16 of an inch, and also from the top edge down is 3/16 of an inch. And then what we're going to do is just draw with our pencil a straight line. And you'll do this on this one as well. From the left edge, you're going to measure in 2 1/4 inches and make a mark. And that is where we are going to draw our line. With our craft knife, all we are going to do is cut from here in, cut from here up, and cut from here over. And once you've done that, then this dotted line is the scoring line. So you might want to put this on your scoring board and line it up with the dotted line we did, and run your scoring there. And then you're going to fold over. For the rest of us, we should be at this point. All this is is the back layer to help stiffen this up a bit. Okay, and we do need to die cut our decorative paper. for this. So we are going to find paper for the back panel as well as for this. Those of you that are not using die plate, you'll follow along with this as well. One thing that you will probably want to do to make things easier is you are going to leave this black border that you have alone and will not be placing paper over it. Now you have a solid door and you have this part too. So that's the part you will probably want to cover with your paper. In your reserves, you will find this piece. What you're going to want to do is measure over 5 7/8 of an inch and cut. And then with your leftover piece here, you will measure from this side in 5 7/8 and cut. And I'll show you what mine looks like. Those of you that have hand cut your door out, you'll wait until we're all together on this. Okay, I am looking at mine like this. What I'm going to do is the exact same thing I did before. The outer blade is going to come on this side with the little scoring, the littler blade over here that scores will be towards this way. So blade on that side, and I am going to make sure I'm even with what I did there. So if we were trying to stay even, we're good. This plate here, the blade is on the outside and then the scoring is over on this way. So let's run this through the die cutter. Okay, I've got mine die cut here. Now for those of you that manually cut yours, now you can do the same thing that you did before and cover the black edges. Or what you can do is just measure down 3/16 of an inch from the top, the bottom, from the side, and cut down and over to that point, leaving you with a door flap. I hope that made sense. Okay, we're going to fold on our score lines here. So everybody, if you need to pause the video, go ahead and do that. This is just going to make it easier for us to place our pieces by doing so now to get it done. Okay, place your piece over yours and let's take a look at what we got. So if you have a little bit of black showing, great. If not, it doesn't matter. Okay, we're going to go ahead and glue this right on down. And we'll do the same for this piece right here. So let's go ahead and do that. In your paper pack, you will have this sheet on the back. It looks like this. Let's go ahead and first trim off this top piece. Okay, we're going to stay together on this one. So flip this over and looking at it like this, so there's a yellow up here, we're going to measure over 3 inches and cut. Okay, there's a reason behind my madness here. Okay, the reason being is this is for our last page. This piece, I want you to stick back in your paper pack rather in your reserves, because if you cut on it, it may mess up our last page. So I'm going to put this back with my paper pack so I don't mess it up. Okay, now looking at this, measure over 5 7/8 of an inch and cut, and then you'll measure over again 5 7/8 of an inch and cut. Okay, on the 2 pieces of cardstock that you do not have anything on, let's just go ahead and apply glue to the back. and mount this. And we'll do the same for this one, and we'll be mounting that there. Okay, grab your ruler and your pencil, and from the edge of your piece, I want you to make a mark, and you can do it at the top here, at about 3 1/16, okay, on each side. So I'm coming in from this way, 3 1/16 of an inch. Make a little mark. Okay. On this, measure over 3 1/16. Go ahead and draw a line with your pencil, and this is for everyone. This will help you. And I'll do the same over here, 3 1/16. This is going to help us with where we place glue. All right. So we have both of our pieces here. Put a fine line of glue on that line all the way down. Not thick, that's for sure. You don't want that, but go ahead and do a fine line of glue, and you'll do that on both of these. Now, for this, it's easier if you just pull this up. The only place that we are going to stick glue on this is along the top and the bottom and on the frame. Do not put anything over here. That's what that is for, to keep you where you need to be. You're just going to place this piece, line it up with your other cardstock there so that it's even, and place that down. Okay. And we'll do this for this one as well. So let's do that. Now, the reason why I did it the way I have done it is to avoid tearing. We're thicker here, we're thicker, especially over here. So let's grab our scoreboard. Now this is where it's going to be kind of hard to score, but we will do it. So you got your 3-inch mark there. It may be easier to flip this around. So all we're trying to do here is just line this up, and at 3 1/16 I'm going to start a scoring. Okay, so I got that score mark. You should be able to see that from the back side too. So now just line it up and score. Now this is going to be super thick, so you're going to have to be patient with it. Okay? Let's go ahead and fold. And this is where you're going to need your tool to help you get that crease. Okay, open it back up. And at 3 1/4 inch, we are going to do the same thing. Might help to score on each side there to help it. And then we are going to fold. Making sure we get on that and that we are even, and using our tool to help us. Okay, so now you should be able to pull it back a little and have a little bit of spacing there, like so. So let's do that with this one as well. Also, you can now squirt glue in the sides of where that flap is and glue that down. And we'll do that with this too. Squirt some glue in there. Okay, so we have our little doors. Now, the reason why we didn't glue until we hit underneath there, like where we did, is because I wanted to leave this open so you have an opportunity to place a photograph in here, or just a picture mat, or whatever you would like. And it's easy in, easy out. So that is a choice for you. Okay, let's go ahead. We have a hinge off to the right and a left. Let's flip these over. In your paper pack, you should have this piece on the back. It looks like this. So let's first just go ahead and trim this off. Okay, so there are two pieces I want off this, and I am going to stick this on my paper cutter so I get some straight cuts. I am going to cut this panel out, so if I put it on my paper cutter, I would cut down this way and over. And the second one is this one, and I'll use my paper cutter for that as well. And if you need to, you can just cut straight down this way. It really makes no difference. Okay, I'm going to stick all this in my reserves. And I have these two pieces. So, flap right here. All I'm going to do is lay this down, making sure I steer clear of that inner score mark. And if you want to scoot it over more this way, you can, but I wanted more area up here, so, and I'm not cutting off all the picture. I'm just going to make a mark with my pencil to allow me to have a little bit of a black edge, and I'm going to trim that down. I'm also going to do the same thing over here. So let's go ahead and trim here and down the other side. Okay, let's apply glue and glue that down. Apply glue to the back of that and glue that down. And remember, your trimmings from the side, put those in your reserves. Okay, let's go ahead and set these off to the side. In your reserves, you will find the tag piece of decorative paper on the back. It's blue. We're going to cut out this larger piece here, and I am going to use my paper cutter to try and get that out. I'm going to stick this in my reserves. Okay, let's grab a piece of black cardstock. And all we are going to do with this is apply glue. And you'll want to find a piece that's larger than this slightly, because we're going to have a black border going around this. So I'm just going to grab this, and I'm going to leave about a 1/16 inch of black at the top and the left side. And now I'm going to stick this on my paper cutter and cut this out, and leaving the 1/16 of an inch of black showing here and here too. Okay, so this is what you should have. Now we're only going to apply glue to the back side, about underneath this and down, and then over. So looking at it like this, I'm just going to flip this over. Some here and here. Now when I place this at an angle, I do not want this to peek over the edge because I have my fold outs there. So I'm just going to bring it at an angle just like this. So this serves as a pocket, and you can get things over more in there with only having the glue down here. You just want to make sure that you press this down really good. Okay, let's attach. So, and I'm just going to go right there in the middle. So right about there, I think. I'm going to flip it over, I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to tack that down. Okay. Also going to grab this one, and I'm going to slide it in, and it will slightly overlap, most likely, your other one, but not enough to where it jams up your door. So just make sure you are even from the top and the bottom. And once you have it there, pinch it. Get it on there. Okay, so as far as this poking up, because we are really thick through there, this is what we're going to do with that. And I'll show you. Grab a couple magnets. Now on the one that overlays over the other, that is the one that you want. And in this case, it's this one for me. Okay, all I'm going to do here is put a magnet down. I am going to cover this. In your reserves, find a scrap piece of paper. In this case, this one was used in the very beginning with that large regal border. For those of you that didn't use the large border, you'll have a scrap piece like this as well, but it may be cut straight across. So grab the mate, place it down, and draw a circle around it. If you have a circular hole puncher in your craft supplies, perfect. Let's cut out our circle. And you may want to cut it slightly larger than what you drew. Go ahead and dab some glue on that and just stick it down so it has some sort of covering but doesn't look obnoxious. Make sure that you erase all your pencil marks off, because then it will look obnoxious. Okay, let's grab that mate. Now I put the mate on top of the paper I just cut, and I'm just going to dab a little bit of glue in the center. Alright, and I'm going to leave this out of the way, and I'm going to come over here and see where it falls. Now in my case, I am hitting right here on my cardstock. Okay, I have a choice. I can slide this magnet underneath this and then put a piece of paper there, because then it's going to grab more, especially if I have a lot of picture mats I want to slide in here. If you're only going to be putting one picture mat in here, you can actually just put that mate right in the back and it will hold it down. Let's do a little more trickier maneuver by sticking this and making sure that we have it the right way. Back underneath this, right to the edge. Whoops. Right to the edge of that. And I have it peeking out. Now I'm just moving it back. Okay. Now when you put picture mats in here, it may hang up on that. So here's a remedy. Off that same piece, you can cut a piece like this, apply glue all over it, and slide that right back behind to cover it. So that way your picture mats will not get hung up on that. Another way to do this, and I'm going to remove mine, okay, because I can always fix that. Nobody's going to be able to tell. Another way to do that, and because this comes and hits right back here, is to put it right on this other side. So let's try that scenario, and you can choose which way that you would like it. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is glue down one of my little cardstock circles to one side, and I'll flip it over, glue down my other cardstock piece, like so. Trim up any uneven overhang. Okay, so the key to this is to make sure you line up. So I got it here. Use your pencil. Where is that magnet? Right here. right there. So place glue on half of this, find my mark, make sure, yeah, and just place it like that. And then you will be just fine. Okay, so a lot of options with this. Let's go ahead and flip this over. Page 5 is complete. Score tape around the outside, one down the middle, 2 short ones, and we're going to mount this in our book. I have mine mounted in my book. Now before we move on to page 6, let's prepare 2 leafy vines. And we're going to apply glue to the back of this, and we're just going to slide the stem down underneath here and glue that just like that. The second one we're going to stick up through here, through the other little slot we can get to, like so. We'll apply glue to this, and we'll glue it down like that. Now this flower I prepared. I still have to put my Wink Stella, and I still need my diamond stickles on it. But this is one of the ones where it's kind of a dual tone. It's got, it was stamped with the plum. It was brushed a little bit with thistle, and then lilac went on the outside petals. And then robin's nest, that lightest blue, was brushed on. And that's just going to fit just like that. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll move on to page 6. Page 6 is very easy. All we're going to do is create a leaf, and I already have my stickles on there. We're going to glue it down right up there. I created a larger flower, and this does have the blues, and then I daubed on just a little bit of lilac on some of the edges, and it's treated with the Wink Stella and also the stickles. And we are going to glue that right here. I've also got a couple smaller ones. We'll glue one right there, and then the other one, oh, let's see, right there. This page is complete. As soon as your stickles and everything dries, flip it over, score tape on the back like we have been, and we're going to mount that in our book. We're on page 7. In your paper pack, you will find this sheet. On the back, it looks like this. Let's first trim off that top piece, and then we're going to measure over 6 inches and cut. Okay, let's go ahead and stick this off to the side. Actually, let's work on these both together. They're similar, so let's just double up our pages here. Measure over 8 inches and cut. These 2 pieces, let's just set these off to the side for right now. Let's get our cardstock out. Grab a piece of cardstock, measure over 5.5 inches, and cut. Okay, for those of you that are using the Martha Stewart punches, you'll want to use your deep edge punch and punch along the long side on each one of these. For those of you that are using the dies, I am in the Regal Borders and Pockets die plate, and I'm using this bracket, and all we're going to do is lay this down, and we'll make sure that when we put this down on our die cutter, we're even, we're centered from side to side, and we're especially even from this point up and this point up to keep us straight. And we're going to die cut on both of these. So let's do that. Die cutters, this is what you should have. We're going to cut from here over and here over to release this top part on both of these. I'd like to stick mine on the paper cutter so I can get a straight cut. So let's do that. In your paper pack, you will find this sheet. On the back, it looks like that. Let's go ahead and trim off this top piece. I'm just going to turn this, measure over 2.5 inches and cut. Now, put the larger piece in your reserves, measure over 6 inches right in the middle and cut. Martha Stewart punchers, what you're going to do is use that same deep edge punch you just used across yours, and you're going to punch across the long side of these. Die cutters, I am using the Regal Borders and Pockets die. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use this plate that matches up with it. And all we're going to do is place our plate evenly, and you will want to make sure that you're even from here to here. And we're going to run this through the die cutter, and we'll do that for both of these. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and cut in from the sides here to release our top part. Martha Stewart punchers, what you can do is make, if you would like, it's up to you. If you just want to leave your straight across, then you can do that and just glue that right on down your piece on top. Or what you can do is cutting down in the middle, but make sure before you do that that you are lining up, and you can cut them. You can actually cut both your pieces to be the same, and then you would have a decorative, and that would look really pretty. Okay, for us, the die cutters, all we're going to do is lay our pieces right on down, and then all of us, we can just glue that right on down to our front of our pocket. So let's do that. Let's grab our pieces and make sure that we are even with the sides here, and we're going to glue this down. Now, you may have some overhang here. That's okay, because after you're done gluing it down, we are going to trim it to fit. So let's do that on both of these. Now, if you have overhang, let's go ahead and trim this off on the bottom. Now, if you are using the Martha Stewart, you should be okay. Now, if you have a little bit of a black here, gap, or down here, don't worry, we're going to put a trim piece. If you placed yours all the way up and you got more black down here, you can just trim that a little bit shorter to knock off any black exposed. It isn't going to matter if you're just a little bit lower than any of us. So let's trim. Okay, let's mount our pocket, and we'll start by placing our score tape at the bottom of our pages. And our trim is going to be lace, so we'll get into our lace here in a moment. Let's wrap our flaps around the back. Whoops. And tack it down. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Let's mount our pocket. Whoops. I've got my 3/4 inch lace out, and I am going to cut a piece to fit here and here, and then I'm going to glue that down. Let's grab our bling and let's cut a piece to fit on each side, from side to side. And we're going to glue that right on down. When you're doing this, sometimes it's helpful to get a couple binder clips for the sides to hold your bling down until the glue sets and dries. You may or may not need it. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Okay, let's let that dry. Go ahead and prepare 2 of the larger vines, the rose and vine, a large flower, and 2 smaller ones. And I got my stickles on mine, so while that dries, I can work on this next part. Cut a piece of cardstock that is 6 1/8 of an inch by 7 1/4 inches. In your reserves, you will find this sheet. It's a 6 by 6, about a 6 by 6 panel on the back. It'll look like this. Now, looking at this, your sheet like this, we're going to trim 1/16 of an inch off this side and this side. I trimmed mine down. I'm just going to set that aside. Let's grab our scoring board. And let's set this down. We are 7 1/4 inches across. At 6 inches, we are going to score. And at 6 3/16 of an inch, we're going to score. And I do need to put this up here. 1, 2, 3, there. And then we're going to score 6. Okay, let's fold on our score lines there. Okay, flaps off to the right, and let's just go ahead and push them all the way back behind. Let's grab our panel here and make sure that you fit, and you should be able to see just a little bit of a black border around it. So if you do not, stick this on your paper cutter and just trim a little bit more. Okay, let's apply glue to the back of this. And we are going to center and glue that down. Okay, let's flip this over. The flap now is off to the left. In your reserves, you should have this panel on the back. It looks like that. We're just going to trim off like we just did, about a 1/16 of an inch on each side. Make sure it fits first and that you're not gluing on that inner score line. And then we are going to glue that down. And I'll show you what mine looks like here in a moment. Mine is down. It's time to attach it to this one. And when we attach this, all we're going to do is bring it to the center, like so. Once you have it lined up and it's even, pinch it, hold it. If it slips, if you feel your paper slipping, you do have to start over so you don't get it on crooked. I'm getting glue. It's time for me to wash my hands here. And then let's take a look. Mine seems to be just fine. Before we do our decorating, tell you what, let's just flip these over and put score tape around the back, one down the middle and 2 short ones on either side to get this ready. And then we're going to lay our flowers. Grab one of your vines and glue that down right like that. Grab one of your, grab your larger flower and glue that down right like that. Grab your, other vine, and that's going to, upside down. I almost did a big no-no. All right, grab your other one, and it's just going to glue down right like that. I've got one of my smaller flowers, and it's going to glue down right like this. Now, cut a piece of your 1 3/4 inch lace, and we are going to lay that right underneath this squared little picture mat there, just like that. And I need to trim mine up to fit better, but let's glue that down. And once that's glued down, grab one of your rose vines here, and that's going to lay down at the bottom, still at the point where it's still on the paper. And then what we're going to do is glue down another flower, just like that. Now you have a choice. You can place your vine like this to have more of your squigglies up like that, your little vine squiggles, and place your flower right here. And I think that looks lovely. Either way. So it's all according to what you want. So let's do that. Page 7 and 8 are complete. Let's go ahead and remove the score tape off the back of our pages and mount this in our book.